Welcome to our Leadership Dialogues, where we focus on reimagining financial services. We have been exploring topics across reinvigorating payments, refreshing customer journeys, and rethinking the ecosystem. Today, we will be focusing on how organizations can remain competitive, innovate, and find new sources of profitable growth by harnessing the broader ecosystem. My name is Lucine Tertullian. I'm a partner in Baringa's Global Markets Consulting practice, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Ben Rayner, who is Head of Innovation and Productivity in Citigroup's Global Markets Operations and Technology Organisation. Ben, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me.
The concept of financial services institutions evolving to construct a more holistic ecosystem of both bank and non-bank players is not a new concept. It's been around for years, but it has significantly picked up pace recently. This ongoing demand for improvement, automation, efficiency has not gone away, and in fact it's becoming harder to find these and deliver these benefits. In your role as Head of Innovation and Productivity, where do you see the biggest opportunities for firms like Citi in terms of future-proofing the operations and technology function, and how are you leveraging the broader ecosystem to help?
So I think the biggest opportunity is in flexibility. Flexibility in relation to our clients, flexibility in terms of our user experience, flexibility in terms of our technologies. In the past, what we've tended to do is to look at fairly siloed methods of trying to resolve problems. We've looked at data in isolation, or client experience in isolation, or internal productivity in isolation. And by and large, trying to do those things as separate initiatives yields fairly siloed results. What we don't tend to get is an end-to-end improvement in the overall journey. And unless we specifically target a certain outcome, then we tend to find that the benefits aren't truly realised. So everything that we hear from our clients' population is that they want us to be able to make them feel like they are the only client that we have, they are the most important client that we have, and they want to correspond with us in a way that they want to correspond with. So the opportunity that we see and what we've been evolving towards is effectively to combine a series of different techniques around data management, around analytics and data mining, and to build a sequence of machine learning and NLP engines, those types of solutions, to then string together the entire experience as a very bespoke solution to people, but actually at the back end we're able to automate as much as we can.
No, it's really interesting. And how have you used the various ecosystem partnerships? What are the different models you've explored? What's worked well? And how do you go about selecting a suitable partner to help support on some of those objectives?
Yeah, so there's certainly no one size fits all in our experience. We've tried that and failed many times. So what we found works best is a combination of building things ourselves in-house. But we have found that we don't necessarily, or we haven't in the past, had the experience and the expertise to do that. So we've absolutely leveraged the best in the market in terms of working with fintechs and startups, working with them to develop their products with the expertise that we have in financial services, and obviously leveraging their expertise on the technology side so that we can incorporate that into our thinking. We've also spent a lot of time on the principles of the engineering as well, so creating data environments to be able to classify large amounts of unstructured data. We spend a lot of time on analytics and data science to understand those principles so we can apply them to understand where to look for opportunity. And we've invested very heavily in a range of fintech disciplines, if you call it that, from low-code solutions through to OCR, digitization, NLP, machine learning, all those sorts of disciplines, and stringing them together then with those partnerships, both internal and external, we found to be really productive.
And do you think that it's important that banks, so you've mentioned RPA and then more sophisticated techniques like OCR, NLP, machine learning, AI, do you think banks need to be strong in all of these and future technologies in-house, or do you see that there's a better, return on investment in leveraging some of these innovative tech and data analytics techniques offered by the fintech?
It very much depends where you are in your journey, I think, the appetite side is and what sponsorship is. We've been very fortunate. We've had sponsorship to really go and try and be as innovative as we can and apply a lot of these techniques and relationships to solving the problem. But that takes investment. It takes organisation. It takes building environments, and all that costs time and money and effort. And actually, but we need to do that for scale. We're a large corporation, so we need to be able to develop scalable enterprise-level solutions. I see a lot of our peer organisations and organisations in a different situation who actually will benefit more, or are benefiting more from following a more sort of evolutionary approach, starting with certain types of techniques and tools, and kind of iterating and building on those as they kind of see the need for them. So I think it's very much around leveraging what's right for each individual organisation.
Sure. And what do you think? I guess what are the let's say 3 success factors in terms of developing successful partnerships, embedding partner capabilities into day-to-day operations?
Number one has got to be, at least in my opinion, trust and confidence. So when I'm sitting down with a potential new partner or even existing partner, it's less around kind of what they can do, more around the people and their ability and their desire to want to innovate and to work with us and vice versa to develop their products and services in ways that actually can work for us. So that's one. A lot of times we find that products are on a certain path and they're fairly restricted in what they would like to focus on, which doesn't really work for us. So that's number one. Number two is the technology itself, of course. Right? So we're constantly on the lookout to be adding pieces to our jigsaw of new technologies, looking into new areas that we haven't explored yet, looking at things we didn't realise were going to enable us to accelerate our journey. So we have fascinating conversations with all sorts of fintechs around what they can do. So that's the second one. Third one I think is really getting the internal mechanics right. So even if we have the greatest technologies and the greatest external partnerships, if we don't have the environment right internally for people to want to behave in different ways, for the processes we want to change to actually take hold in the real world, then of course all the investment in technology is for nothing. So we spend a lot of time also on behavioural and cultural change management and trying to make the technologies more accessible and understandable to people who are going to be using them and hopefully educating them in the future as well.
No, it's really helpful. And just to elaborate on one of the points you made around the technology and selecting the right partner, there are so many fintechs out there and a lot more coming up. How do you go about selecting the best one, what works for you? Obviously there's a cultural element that you've mentioned, but in terms of the technical capability itself?
Through the traditional methods, we build that relationship with people. We perform proof of concepts. We do MVPs with people. I think the art more than the science in that is, of course, for me at least, having gone through that process of building a relationship, understanding the kind of shared interests, if you like, and making sure that the efforts we're going to spend are going to be valuable on both sides. So, excuse me. So actually, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to meet the right people, to figure out what's on the market, and it is difficult to adopt and onboard some of these platforms because of some of the regulation and the restrictions that we have around data security and privacy. So those are also mechanisms that we need to navigate internally. Sure.
Thank you. Ben, my final question is around the workforce of the future, and given everything we've discussed, the ecosystem driven operating model, how do you see the skills required in-house within your own ops and technology function evolving in light of some of these topics and technical advances that we've seen?
I think quite apart from what I think, we are also being told what people want to be doing as well, which luckily are the same thing. So we find that people coming into operational work in our business don't want to have the traditional career path that people followed in the past of managing or performing their job in a particular product or function, just becoming more senior over a period of years. What they actually want is much more flexibility in their role. They want much more exposure to products and asset classes, and particularly they want much more ability to influence and change the environment that they're working in, which means technology. So we've actually developed a program, a future of work program, which kind of addresses that need, which upskills people in a range of operational disciplines. It upskills people in a range of technology disciplines, through from RPA, low-code solutions, all the way through to being a full-stack developer, if that's what they want. And then a third component, which is putting all of that into practice, where we teach people lean startup, design thinking, some of those types of principles, so that they can truly transform and be much more in control of their career, and they can plan a career journey more. And ultimately, what I want, to answer the question, is that I want people to be comfortable with the technologies and comfortable with knowing how to incorporate them into their lives. Because at the end of the day, we're here to change the business process, to improve the client experience. We're not here to implement technology, we're here to harness it in a way that achieves their aims. So it's important that that's democratised, and it's not just people like me running a centralised team.
Yeah, sure. We're sort of building that mindset of not just operational day-to-day processing, but just continuous improvement. How do I do things better, efficiently, more effectively, and being comfortable with the tools around you?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. Ben, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to go through this, and thanks again. Join us for future sessions where we'll be discussing other examples and case studies and bringing these ecosystem partnerships to life. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.